Welcome to Maple Leaf America. You're never going to believe where I am this week. Well, actually, you probably could figure it out since there's this huge sign behind my head. I'm in Toronto, Ohio, that is, population 5,600. We wanted to find out what life was like in the other Toronto. And believe it or not, there's quite a bit of hockey information in this region, and we're going to pass it on to you during this edition of Maple Leaf America. Here we go, Maple Leaf America, a very special edition from none other than Toronto, Ohio, that is. Bob Wilson is the mayor of Toronto. I bet you didn't know that. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Great.
Welcome to our city. It's nice to have you.
Pleasure to be here. Tell us a little bit about this place. Very, very nice is the impression I get.
Yeah, it is a nice community, and I think the unique part about these communities is people. People in Toronto are great people for volunteerism. They always help their neighbor. If they need anything done, all you got to do is ask them and they do it. I think that's unique for a city this size in this area.
Folks in Canada would be happy to know how this town was named.
Toronto was named in 1881 after Toronto, Canada. A businessman by the name of Jack Daniels had a good friend who was a businessman in Toronto, Canada. Yeah. So for whatever reason, back in 1881, they decided to change the name of the city from Newburgh Landing to Toronto, Ohio, and that's what it's been since 1881.
Was it Jack Daniels?
No, I don't think so. Maybe some other Jack Daniels, yeah.
Well, let's go look at this beautiful town.
That's good. Let's go.
All right, here we are, Bob. We're in the Memorial Park with the World War I Memorial. What do we got here? This first one ever?
This is the first World War I monument installed in the United States of America after World War I. And it was by the veterans and the people in this town took up the collections and bought this and had it installed. And on the day it was dedicated, we had 15,000 people in this community on these streets out here for the dedication.
And an actual gun from
an actual cannon from World War I also.
Next door is the old City Hall.
Yeah, it's the old City Hall and the old firehouse. The firehouse was built in 1802, and I can't recall the date on the city building, but that's where the city building used to be, and the firehouse was in the same building.
Moving on, we're just north of the metropolis of Toronto, here at the Toronto Edison, Ohio Edison Toronto Power Plant.
Yes.
And, you know, Toronto, Ontario has the CN Tower. It's a big structure.
I've been there.
Yeah, it's big. Eh?
Yeah.
This would be your largest, tallest structure.
I would say in the city of Toronto, that's the tallest structure we have here. It's this plant was in existence for quite a few years, and Samus plant, which is directly north of here, owned both of them. Yeah. And because of economics, they decided about 7 or 8 years ago to shut this plant down. So it's been vacant ever since.
Well, here we are again, Bob. We're moving around rather quickly, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Back in downtown Toronto, right here on the banks of the Lake Ontario.
No, we're on the banks of the Ohio River.
Ohio River.
You're just a little bit confused.
I am a little bit confused.
Okay.
The Toronto thing is really...
Yeah, Toronto and Toronto gets confusing.
But there is a waterfront, just like the big Toronto.
It's probably similar to yours, but it's just a little bit smaller. It's called Newburgh Landing. That's what the city was called prior to being named after Toronto, Canada.
Well, the thing that I'm most curious about now, since we've seen a little bit of town, is finding out if there are hockey fans here in Toronto.
Oh, there's an awful lot of hockey fans here in Toronto.
Really?
Right, there is.
Let's seek them out with great vigor.
Let's go do that.
Hockey fans?
Some of us.
Are you?
No.
What are you a fan of?
Football.
I follow the Pens somewhat, but I'm not a real Penguin fan. I mean, not a real hockey fan. I do root for the Pens, but football's what it is.
In the process of, learning the game. I like the game because, like I say, it's fast action. Yeah, a lot of good hitting.
Good people over here on that side of the river too. Veterans over here. Just come in for a good time, good conversation.
It's interesting, back in the 1950s, the city of Toronto drank more beer per capita than any other town in the United States. Probably wasn't Canadian beer, though. Poor buggers. Beautiful, isn't it? Hey. Maple Leaf. Gardens. Well, if you want to go for a skate, it's not going to happen in Toronto. The closest ice sheet is 35 miles to the south here in Wheeling, West Virginia. The home of the Wheeling Nailers of the East Coast Hockey League, led by the second winningest all-time coach in professional hockey, former Maple Leafs head man, John Brophy. John Brophy turned age 70 last month, quietly, on a night off in Wheeling, West Virginia.
I'm working for a super organization, being in the Nailers, and working for Pittsburgh, and there's nothing but a beautiful place to live, and it's a very nice place because the Leafs come down here at the start of this year and practiced for the first game and played in Pittsburgh, and they had a great time here. And the town is a small town, but it's beautiful.
It's been 13 years since Brophy coached the Maple Leafs. What was a 212-game dream come true for the hard-nosed former minor league defenseman from outside Halifax.
All during training camp, I was going through, or you're kind of feeling your way along because of the tradition of the building and who you're trying to coach is Toronto Maple Leafs, right? And I remember that going through training camp and all of it, and then we had some exhibition games as well. I come from the WHA and saying, well, this is not any different, where I come from, till opening night. And then it was different, believe me, because I remember walking into my office and looking up, and there's 7,000 or 18,000 people there. Hockey Night Canada cameras are sitting right on my shoulder in the players' bench, and trust me, it was different.
But most things about Brophy haven't changed. Before the Leafs, he was helping players get to the NHL. Since the Leafs, he's been helping players get to the NHL. 16 of them during his recent 11 seasons in AA Hampton Roads.
Hey, Mahaly, come here, please. Arpod, come here. Arpod, come here. Arpod, you make a pass to the winger.
First of all, he's been everywhere, every league. He's done it all in every league, and he's the type of guy that just demands, really hard work, 100% work all the time, always demanding hard work, and I thought it'd be a good place for me. I work hard, and he's giving me lots of ice time, so it's working out well so far.
Second of all, Brophy wins. Last March, he became only the second coach besides Scotty Bowman to win 1,000 professional games.
Somebody came to me when I won 800, and he says, that's your 800 win, and I was never even thought about it, and I said, that and 50 cents will get you on the subway, and then people started keeping track, and it went 900, and then we start closing in on 1,000. But I never once set out to say, well, this is my 1,000, or I got to win 1,000, or I got to win this game. We had to win the game to make the playoffs, and we beat Dayton 3-0, and it was the 1,000 win. It's very nice to happen, and I certainly thank every player that ever played for me, because they're the people that are responsible for that.
And of his numerous victories, it's pretty simple for Brophy. The ones that stand out happened in the playoffs.
First year with the Leafs, we did very well as far as in the playoffs. We eliminated St. Louis, and we had Detroit down 3-1 for the Norris Division Championship. And it's unfortunate we didn't seal the deal, but the fact that you had a chance to coach the National Hockey League, every game is a big game. But what I remember most from, since you talked about the 1,000 wins, is championships. And that's basically what anybody plays hockey or plays any kind of professional sports is, that it's winning. That's the one things you remember. The other games you can't they just fall in. But winning is everything, and that's what you remember, that's for sure.
Keep going, right there, give it to him, give it to him!
You have to have luck on the 3 championships I won in this league. A lot of it was luck. The last one, we were the 16th team to make the playoffs. And we went all the way through the 16 teams in front, in front of us, and won the championship. And then 2 championships, we won 2 of them on the road and 1 at home. So we won them every place, and then trust me, you remember every one of those.
He demands a lot from his players, and you know, he's a passionate man. He loves the game, and he wants to get the guys fired up as he would when he played. So you know, it's just it helps motivate the team and hopefully put us in the right direction.
Getting set straight means enduring Brophy's temper, one that sometimes leads to chippy behavior on the ice and off, especially when things aren't going so well.
He's got a pretty good bark. If you know him pretty well, the bite's not that bad, but if you don't know him that well and you just see him go off on a tangent, you can step back a little bit and not know what's going on. But I think because I've been with him for 2 years now, I know him a little bit, and I've gotten to know his personality, and I know when he's really upset or when he's just trying to get a point across to the team, but he can be intimidating.
Sometimes you get charged up, and sometimes you can sit back and watch everything happen, not say anything, but I was never like that and not built like that, and I don't apologize for whatever I've done behind the bench, and I certainly don't want to go out and hurt the organization you're working for or the league you're playing in, and that has never happened as far as I'm concerned.
Last season in Wheeling, his first with the Nailers, Brophy's club missed the playoffs by 1 point. This year, they have a little ground to make up.
It's difficult for me sometimes to watch him go through what he goes through and the highs and lows, and you know, if he gets on a little bit of a losing streak, I feel like I wish I could do something to help and encourage and so on, and you know, but I love the game. I love the fact that he loves the game, and he works so hard at it and has for so many years, and he's so good at it, so I don't mind hockey.
Mrs. Brophy is no stranger to the competitive mix, having spent 11 years on the LPGA Tour, a few of them with caddy John Brophy.
To go and play on the LPGA for 5 years, I think I caddied for, you're treated like God as far as the tournaments are concerned. You know, you're playing one tournament, you're going to play the next week. Everything is nothing but super. It's just the greatest vacation you could ever have. I don't know if I helped her caddying, but she put up with me.
These two soulmates were put to the ultimate test in June of 2000, when Brophy suffered a near-fatal car crash in Nova Scotia.
I was lucky enough to have my wife to back me up, and all the rehab that we had to do afterwards, because I really got smashed up. And to be able to come back, it's because of her, because we had to drive every day somewhere, sometimes 60, sometimes 70, but the doctors, and I had a femur broken and bones broken all over the place, and big time head damages, and I had to drive every day. She had to drive me someplace, so she's the one that got me back.
Probably the thing that I'm most proud of him for is what we just went through 2 years ago. And when he woke up one morning and decided that, as roughed up as he was and couldn't walk at the time, and decided he was going to come all the way back, that, you know, by a mile is what I'm most proud of him for. So when I see him walk on the ice, you know, I just see a different, I see him walk on the ice when, you know, I saw him when he couldn't walk after that accident. So, you know, that's the best part of John Brophy.
Just another chapter in the legend of Coach John Brophy.
I don't operate like that, and I'm not, there's nothing about me is legendary, and I'm just lucky enough to be able to work in hockey played for 21 years and then now coach for 28. I just consider myself the luckiest guy in the world. It's like Lou Gehrig, but legendary, I don't think fits in there, and I don't ever think it's something like that.
Well, if he's not a legend, then for a lot of reasons, he sure is unforgettable. Nightfall in Wheeling, and I am standing on one of the more significant historical bridges anywhere in the United States. The Wheeling Suspension Bridge, built before the Civil War, back in the 1850s, it is still one of the main thoroughfares across the Ohio River. Stay with us, we have a very quirky little travel log coming up. Plus, we'll meet Ontario-born NHLers playing up the road in Pittsburgh. It's all ahead on Maple Leaf America. That's good. Welcome back to Maple Leaf America, enjoying a hot cup of tea on the West Virginia side of the Ohio River. Nothing better on a cold, wintry morning to make you feel all warm and cozy. Maybe some orange pekoe or some English breakfast or possibly some Earl Grey. What? Oh! First of all, the Chester teapot never actually poured tea, so it shouldn't really be called the world's largest teapot. It should be listed as the world's largest object shaped like a teapot.
Originally, it was a root beer barrel in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for Hires root beer. They went up and cut it in two just like a boat, brought it down and put it back together. And a man by the name of Kell had a tin shop. He put the spout and the handle on it at the top. And they set it up down there as an artware stand.
Once, the teapot sat abandoned for about 12 years. Twice, it's dodged bureaucratic bullets, saved from demolition by citizens groups in 1984 and 1990.
People in town wanted to keep it, so I finally decided I should fix it. So I did.
Now it's a source of pride for Chester. Common ground, a symbol of unity, a large thing outside one veteran's front window.
Oh, yeah, every day. It's over there every day. Yeah. It's something different. Something different. All kind of people stop and take pictures all the time. They do. I mean, from everywhere.
If it was a teapot, how many gallons would it hold?
I'd hate to say. It's about 30 foot across and 15 feet high.
I feel the need to find the world's largest restroom. Now that's what I call Americana. I'm going to grab some lunch, and then after the break, more Maple Leaf America. First, here's our funny hockey fan photo. Time for yet another funny hockey fan photo, although this week it's more odd than it is funny, kind of. There's the late, great Terry Sawchuk right there with some suitors, if you will, or suitorettes, I reckon. Look at this gal here hanging over the glass trying to give out her phone number. I'm in 619 at the Cadillac Hotel. Honey, what are you doing there? Her husband's got a nice hat. And of course, this lady down here at the end, she's kind of waiting in line. She's a little frustrated. Her arms are crossed. She's like, gosh, I wanted to give him my phone number. I'm spoken for, ma'am, but you are a nice-looking coog. Hey, that's my sister! Lot going on here. You're supposed to keep your hands, feet, everything on the other side of the glass. This stuff just doesn't happen nowadays. Just does not go on whatsoever. Like I said, not so funny, but kind of odd. Welcome back. The closest NHL franchise to Toronto is in Pittsburgh, about 40 miles to the east, where the Penguins play in the Igloo or Mellon Arena. Now, over the years, the Penguins have overcome more financial obstacles than maybe any team in sports history, and they're going to face a few more in the next couple of years. There are a few gentlemen from the Toronto area that help the Penguins on and off the ice. Taken over by the league early in its existence for a stretch, bailed out and bought by Super Mario a couple of years ago, the Penguins will once again be put to a true test if, and more than likely when, a lockout comes in 2004.
I don't think you can think about that. I think you just got to, we're in the season now, and we just have to be worrying about our next game. You start thinking about things like that that are out of your hands to start with, it might be a distraction. So it's something that I don't think very many guys in that dressing room even thinks about.
It's not just our organization. I think the league in general, I think there are a number of franchises that are sitting in a position similar to ours, really, in that collective bargaining agreement ends in 2 years. I think what happens from that will be critical to franchises like ours. We certainly need to get some sort of cost, certainty and cost in place to have this franchise go on and to succeed. Probably the biggest question, though, with us is the building that we're in. We certainly need a new facility, and I know our people, our organization, are talking to local government now about putting that together, financing that deal, but nothing's in place, so that's a huge question mark for us right now.
In the meantime, Pittsburgh continues to battle for a playoff spot, while the Ontario-born contingent continues to enjoy the marketplace.
I think it's awesome here. The people are really nice. It's like, it's pretty close to Ontario. It's, I've kind of made the cross across the U.S. here, and now my parents are only 8 hours away or 9 hours away. They're in North Bay right now, so it's not too far. They'll come visit and get more family and friends out here.
The town's pretty good. It's a big sports town, Everybody follows their sports teams with the Steelers, the Pirates, and the Pens, Everybody knows who you are out there, and it's a lot of fun. They appreciate winning, and they know the game, and they let you know when you're doing well and let you know when you're not doing well.
Wayne Primo's career has seen a few stops. Now he's as close as ever to one of his biggest all-time rivals and one of the franchise's worst enemies, older brother Keith in cross-state Philadelphia.
This is the first time we've ever been in the same actual division. We've been in the same conference ever since we've both come into the league, and since I've come into the league. And it's always very competitive, and we always like to check the scoreboards to see how each other's doing. And but obviously, when it comes down to playing them, you got to hate them.
Casual fans focus on these rivalries, although a Lemieux-Yager matchup earlier this year failed to sell out. And what about overall fan awareness regarding lockout and lack of new building issues?
I think that's always a scare tactic for a city, to come up with money. I think, there's a good base of fans here, so I think they're going to do whatever it takes to keep the team in the city. I think Mario's come along, he's done a lot for the team, and I think that loyalty to the team will stick around as long as the team stays, competitive.
So much depending on one man. Just another apparent shaky situation in today's NHL. That's going to do it. One last look at Toronto for you folks in and around Toronto. Next week, we hop over the state line into Pennsylvania and we head east on Maple Leaf America.